It's time to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers and try to break down this entire roster to see if we can find any fantasy relevance among all of these people. Now we're going to start right here with the depth chart at the quarterback position, which could be the most anticipated watch because out of the recording of this video, we don't know who the starter is going to really officially be between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Now, if I had all my money, I would probably put it on Russell Wilson. He's just the better quarterback. Let's just face it, right? If we're talking about fantasy football, Justin Fields gives you a nice floor because of his rushing ability, but his accuracy just isn't what Russell Wilson's accuracy is. Russell Wilson is a proven winner. He's been to the biggest stage you possibly can, and I think having the Steelers and Mike Tomlin, he wants a winning quarterback, and having Justin Fields saying, I don't really want to look at the playbook, kind of just playing the way I want to play, doesn't really fit into what I believe Mike Tomlin wants. So Russell Wilson should be the quarterback of this football team and give the team a good chance to win. And even for fantasy football, I think Russell Wilson could be okay for these people. Now for Justin Fields, he come over here from the Chicago Bears. What can he provide to this offense? Well, he can provide some fantasy points is what he can. Not sure much for the win department, but he can provide you some fantasy output. But the thing is that who do we bank on? Do we draft Russell Wilson thinking he's going to be the quarterback for the entire season? Do we draft Justin Fields thinking that, sooner or later he's going to take over for Russell Wilson and be the starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? We just don't know at this point. I expect Mike Tomlin to name probably within the next week clearly the starter, and I think that's going to be Russell Wilson if I have to go forward. But let's go ahead and look at these running back position. Let's look at the depth chart real quick. Let's throw it up there. So you see the number one guy right now, Najee Harris. That's clear to me, but Jaylen Warren is sharing some of that workload. Cordell Patterson's there as well. So I see it's a more of a 50-50 workload between Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren. Najee Harris, it looks like he's always going to be primed to give you those 1,000 yards rushing. As of right now, Jaylen Warren is suffering from a hamstring injury, which could linger on into the season. I've seen that happen many, many times. So Najee Harris should be the bell cow back for the most part of the season if Jaylen Warren can't get 100% back healthy. But I think Najee Harris is one of your best bet. If you're more in a PPR league, Jaylen Warren could be your guy as well when given the opportunity. Jaylen Warren has been able to put out some nice fantasy points for you. It has a decent floor, I would say, for maybe a flex play or an RB2 for your team. I think you can do a lot worse than one of these two guys, but I think both running backs could be fantasy viable in 2024. Let's pull up the depth chart again here. Let's look at these wide receivers. Number one, we got to say, is George Pickens. And now with Deontay Johnson gone, we see George Pickens is going to be the man. Van Jefferson, we got the rookie Roman Wilson, who is also battling injuries at this moment. Quez Watkins, Denzel Mims, and Calvin Austin III as well. So we've seen a lot of fantasy points produced over the years from the Pittsburgh Steelers at the wide receiver position, whether it's Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster, Hines Ward, it doesn't matter. We've seen a lot come from this offense, and George Pickens has highlight ability. He's just fun to watch. Now, if Wilson or Fields gets on the field, doesn't matter. As long as they're chunking the ball down the field, George Pickens has high point ability and he has the spectacular catch ability to make a play happen, even if it's not the most accurate of throws, which what we saw last year when Kenny Pickett was throwing the football to George Pickens. He was still able to eclipse that 1,000 yards receiving. So George Pickens can get the job done with poop at quarterback. Not saying they have great quarterback play, but they have maybe a little bit dusted of sugar coating on that poop this year with Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. So I think you could probably get even better production out of George Pickens. Van Jefferson, a very capable wide receiver. He was pretty decent when he was with the Rams. Went over to the Falcons, didn't really do anything. Now coming over here with the Pittsburgh Steelers as the number 2 wide receiver right now. He can get things done. There are rumors out there about Brandon Ayuk, whether he's going to come. I just don't think that trade's going to happen. Like Brandon Ayuk stays over there with the 49ers. So as of right now, Van Jefferson's the number 2, and then they got that rookie Roman Wilson. If he can just stay out of injury problem, I think he can be fantasy viable as well. A really good, maybe even play in the slot for these guys, or maybe have him outside and Van Jefferson playing the slot. Either way it goes, I think Roman Wilson can make a name for himself as long as he can get out of this injury bug and be on the field and productive with the Steelers. Let's go ahead and pull up the depth chart again here. Let's look at the tight end position, and we have Pat Freiermuth and Darnell watching that big old tight end over there out of Georgia. So we saw that Pat Freiermuth was kind of having a down year last year and still was pretty productive. Now comes over Arthur Smith over to this offense, and Arthur Smith's been in the NFL for 5 years, and in those 5 years, the least target share that tight end position had is 25%. So he likes to target and use the tight end position, which could bode well for Pat Freiermuth in 2024. A lot of people are saying, hey, sleeper tight end, Darnell Washington, big body kind of guy. He's a little bit on the healthier side now, can make some things happen. He's just too slow for me to be fantasy viable. Yeah, he could be a big red zone target. I get it. But as of right now, Pat Freiermuth is the one to have in this offense for the tight end position, if you ask me. So let's break down the entire offense. What do we want for fantasy football? For me, I am staying away from this quarterback position. I don't want Russell Wilson and I don't want Justin Fields. If somebody said I had to make a decision and I've got to find out who I want as my quarterback, I would pick Russell Wilson. I think that he holds on to the job all season long. I'm just not willing to bet my house on it. So I'm trying to stay away from both of these quarterbacks. At the running back position, I like Najee Harris and I like Jaylen Warren. If I had to pick one of these guys, I would go with Najee Harris. He's getting more of the bulk load. He gets the first touch in the game. He is really almost the 1A running back for me. I know a lot of times when the fantasy points, everything comes along, Jaylen Warren is really kind of considered the #1 option in this backfield, but I like Najee Harris just that much. And with that hamstring injury that Jaylen Warren is suffering with right now, I just think that's going to linger a little bit throughout the season as long as if he keeps going the way he's going. So Najee Harris, more of a safer bet for me. At the wide receiver position, I'm really only looking at George Pickens. I don't want really any shares of Van Jefferson or Roman Wilson. I just don't want that right now. I don't want that headache. This whole offense, I think, is going to just give you a headache as it's done for the last several years. So, but George Pickens, definitely high on my list. I think he's going to get most of the targets in this offense. And at the tight end position, I like Pat Freiermuth a lot. I like Pat Freiermuth. So if I'm picking players on this offense, I'm saying Najee Harris, George Pickens, and Pat Freiermuth. Those are 3 guys I'm really wanting to get into this offense. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, hit the subscribe button, guys. We are putting out so many videos almost at this point, each and every day, right? Until we get to the fantasy football season and we can start winning some championships. I want you guys to do very, very well in your drafts. But look, I can't wait to see you guys on the next video. Leave a comment down below. Tell me which Steelers you like the most. But we'll see you guys next time.